Hello and welcome back to the DP World Tour Picks and Bets 2026 Preview Edition. Skylar Hoak here, joined as always by Tom Jacobs. We have a third special guest here with us, though, Ryan Baroff. The trio of this crew has been doing shows for you all year long. We've reached the point of the season that it's my favorite show when we get to talk about all of the Q School graduates, the hotel planner grads, and how we think 2026 is going to play out. I guess part of 2025 remains. Some events are already up and running next week. And then we get a fun little Australian, South African swing to close out the year, which I always enjoy these events. Fellas, how are we doing today?
Yeah, good. Good to be back.
Yep, doing well. Fun. Probably my favorite show of the year too. So
yeah, just so many names.
So I'm not left out.
The person who is being left out, sadly, is our good friend Bradley Todd, who's joined us historically on these shows. In a good way, he's missing us. New father, Brad. So Brad's family's doing well, baby's doing good, but didn't want to take up 90 minutes of your time with a newborn to this. So Brad did submit his selections. We'll go through them this week or on the show here. From a high level, we're going to go hotel planner. Each of us pick a player who's graduating with their card for this year. We'll go Q School. Each of us pick a player from there. And then we'll go into selections for PGA Tour cards or top 10 players in the DP World Tour next year. We'll pick one standard shot and then one longer shot of people to get a card next year. We're coming off of Matt Fitzpatrick winning the DP World Tour Championship last week in a playoff over Rory McIlroy. Rory made an incredible eagle on 18, but then put it into the water off the tee to give Fitz the win in the playoff. A little bummer from my end, betting Fitz the week before felt pretty obvious and a bit of a slap in the face just not to go back to the well in the sense of the odds didn't move. But we're here to be a forward-thinking show, right? We don't need to worry about the past. We're on to 2026. So let's go. Let's go right into it. We'll go hotel planner, Ryan Baroff. So for those that follow, what's our Baroff 427 on Twitter,
yep.
Right? So Baroff crushed the Challenge Tour this year, outright selections. I like to give him a lot of crap, but he's had a great outright year. I think you hit, 52 weeks in a year, 54 winners, right? At least one a year.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Baroff, I think the Challenge Tour is so hard to bet. It's incredibly variance from players who we don't know their skill sets or talent levels or are getting into spots for the first time ever in their careers. And you see some nerves and you see some crazy things while also not being able to watch much of it, if any, here in the States on television, probably barely any over the sea to watch it. But, and then we don't get any stats. We don't have even regulation stats of these guys. So it's kind of the Wild West. And we have 20 of them graduating into the European Tour this year. So I know you had an awesome year betting it. So I'll lead you off with the selection of who is your favorite of the graduates.
Yeah, so my favorite is going to be Max Steinlechner, who finished third in their rankings. I'll be honest, I think he's the best player who's coming out of this class. We were talking before, maybe after you hit the record button, but then you had to hit it again. I don't think this class is overly strong. But yeah, just a little background on him. He is Austrian, I believe he went to North Carolina State, played for the Wolfpack for all 4 years. Actually never won in college, which is interesting because as I was looking back, he was just like in the top 5 every single event he played, it seemed like, but he never got across the line. He had a really good year on the Alps Tour, kind of 2023, 2024. He did win once or twice there. He then went to the Challenge Tour, but he won early this year in South Africa on the Sunshine Tour. I think that was mid-January, and really just parlayed it into a very nice, very consistent year on the Challenge Tour. Was always one of the favorites. He won his home open. I don't know what they call it now, but it was in Austria mid-July. Finally got across the line there. And then just recently when they went over to China for 2 weeks, he had back-to-back runner-up finishes. At least one of them was in a playoff. They might have both been playoff losses, but just really high on him. We don't have a lot of stats, but he is slightly above average driving distance, which is always good. And kind of just, he does everything pretty well. So he would definitely be the one guy who I am most excited for from this graduating class.
Yeah. I mean, if we go just in the rankings side of things. I mean, 3 to your point is right. It was a weird year for, I say weird, but like the South Africans kind of dominated, right? Tom's going to talk through one of them. Daniel Van Tonder also ticked off 2 wins I think it was back to back on the Sunshine Tour in quick succession. But Tom, you're leaning into a guy that we're very comfortable with, at least knowing who he is. But you think a breakthrough year could be ahead for JC Ritchie?
Yes, I think I've got one other one I'm going to talk about, but like I think with Ritchie, like the involvement this time is he's just a guy that's always won in South Africa, right? Like you drop down to Challenge Tour to the Sunshine Tour, and he can win, and he wins often, right? Like, and we've had these players before. He's got 7 Challenge Tour wins, but the first 4 were all in kind of Sunshine Tour kind of co-sanction events, and then he had a bunch kind of playing at home. But the one thing that kind of caught my eye this year is that he won the German Challenge, the Open de Portugal, and the Italian Challenge Open, and that's a completely different skill set for him to go over to Europe and come and succeed. And when you look at the German Challenge win, he won by 8 strokes over Joshua Berry, who we've all been pretty high on, and Tom Lewis, who's a veteran. He beat David Law in Portugal. David Law is one of the stronger players. And then he beat a couple of talented Swedes, but we don't know too much about in Italy. So, yeah, I think the guy that's 4-0 in playoffs on the Sunshine Tour, a guy that's 3-time winner this year at a lower level, he's pretty prolific. So he's the kind of safe bet, right? But the kind of I wanted to kind of look at was the last man in, who was Albin Bergstrom, who I, admittedly, until we did the show, kind of bit of research, didn't know too much about. But he was the last person in at the grand final. He did pretty well in kind of limited starts a couple of years prior, was generally on the Nordic Golf League, but played well in spot starts. But this year he's had a kind of extended year, 20 starts. And in that, he's got a 5th, a 9th, a 4th, and a 3rd, with those last couple of results coming at the last 2 events. So that just kind of shows a little bit of something. And actually, when reading up a bit about him just now, like he also played on the Amateur Team Championship alongside Ludwig, Vincent Norman, and David Neifel, and Pontus Nyholm as well. All have kind of had, obviously, Aberg and Norman, we know a lot about. The other 2 have kind of been there or thereabouts. And for him to be a big part of that team, I think he was the leader in terms of the individual score. And then to go and do what he's done, it feels like a little bit of a case of, maybe just not settled into a tour early, right? Like he's still 26 years of age, nearly 27. Again, I kind of talk about COVID maybe being a bit of an impact. Like that was, probably right in his formative years. Obviously wasn't the superstar that kind of Ludwig Aberg is, but for him to be an important part of that team and to win that team championship and then to do so well in spot starts, I wouldn't go as far to say excited about him, because as Baroff said, like he's a bit of a weak class, but it's interesting that he's kind of got himself in. He did play 20 events, but he's left it really late. And I think that kind of late momentum going into this is really important, because I think he can kind of start well. And if you get off to a quick start on the DP World Tour, it sets out ready for success. So, yeah, kind of interesting now with Bergstrom, as well as obviously JC Ritchie, who's a bit of a homer pick, really, given the fact that he kind of led well.
So for Brad's submission here, and Brad, like Baroff, consistently betting the Challenge Tour, Hotel Planner Tour for years. So it has some pretty deep detail of the guys on here. Guillamondigai, is that probably the proper pronunciation? I think I nailed that, but we call him Gia Monster in these neck of the woods. Oyen is Brad's selection. He thinks from his overall game, looks to have a really tidy T-degree game. Doesn't seem to be like more of the power type of player, but his best results have been pretty tested into the wins. I think that when you got him at Baroff, when he was pretty shorter odds, but coming off of that drop down in elevation, had some elements into play. So shown success in the wins. He won as an amateur on the Alps Tour, which something that I think is always kind of a tick of the right direction that you can be a winner on lower tours. And seems like if Brad had to select, just watching and following, adrenaline junkie was the way that Brad described him. Smile on his face, and somebody that probably is good friends with Martin Kuvra and can really kind of 1-2 hopefully make that leap onto there. I think it's a straightforward selection, but probably I would say, in my opinion, if you have Steinlecker 1, Baroff, is Gia Monster probably 2 for you on the list?
Probably, just because I don't, I always am am biased towards age, I will take the younger kids above the veterans. So yes, probably the two that I'm most excited about.
And I think also the important thing on that, like Sky, I think the thing that Brad mentioned about being like tidy, like that was exactly how Coover did it. Like Coover isn't this kind of distance off the tee guy. He's a very tidy all round player. Coover comes up, I think he was 21 going on 22 last season, and just, right out the gates was really good. And you look at, Guy Monster, and he's kind of 20 going on 21, but he's already won on the Challenge Tour. He's had 5-6 other top fives this year. It's a really steady year, and I think showing that level of consistency at that age, I mean, really we're looking at kind of Eora and Nigel Pearson and people like that kind of, Nigel Pearson's slightly older, right? But like Eora last year being that kind of consistency. So yeah, I think, as we've kind of talked about, not the same strength as the guys that came up, but I think he's someone who's also showed it in limited starts, right? I think in Mauritius and the Open de France. So good showings already.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm picking like profiles, that's where it gets hard. Like it takes a little bit of time to either you need them to step up into a DP World Tour event a couple of times to get a good profile. Like I was bummed Jonathan Goth Rasmussen didn't make it on there. He's a bomber. I could have fit him in at some deep longer courses, but he wasn't the one. Where I'm siding on is with age, to Baroff's point, in kind of an odd career based off of his amateur style, but Rocco Repetto Taylor, I think he was 18th on the list in just 17 starts on the Challenge Tour. Outside of Daniel Van Tonder, who did it with 12, there was only 3 other players who did it in less than 20 starts. So if you're able to do it with either not being a full-time member, which I'm rather confident Repetto was not one coming into the year. If you look at, he did not turn professional until 2025. He was playing on the Alps Tour in February as a brand new professional golfer at the age of 21, probably, I think he was, or the age of 22. And first 4 starts on the Alps Tour, all top 20s, 3 of them top 6s. It goes T4, T6, T2, and then he wins on the Alps Tour in his 5th ever start professional-wise. As an amateur, he did have a top 10 on the Alps Tour as well back in 2023, but he went to Oral Roberts in the U.S., which couldn't be more random of a 4-year school to select. I mean, I don't think I've heard any of the other European guys coming out of Oral Roberts. They go to like the Tennessee school that all of them go to, East Tennessee State or Kennesaw State. Like they all kind of like gravitate to there.
Maybe he couldn't get into Oklahoma State and just sort of stayed around there.
I guess, right? But he wasn't, I guess to be pretty blunt, like wasn't a very good amateur. His highest ranked was 1,365th. Like I don't think there was much there. I believe Oral Roberts is a pretty academic school too. I think he might have had some academic type of awards too, based off what I could see. But he flipped a switch immediately upon being pro. So he goes those starts as basically an Alps Tour member, gets into the home country Challenge Tour starts, misses the cut, and then the second one that he tees it up, his second ever time in June on the Challenge Tour, Hotel Planner Tour, wins. Virtually probably out of nowhere. I have no idea if you remember his odds in this setting at all, Baroff, but I got to imagine it's probably one of the longer winners of the DP or the Hotel
outside of 150 for sure when he won, yes.
So again, 7-8 starts into his pro career. He is now a card-holding Hotel Planner player, and then he churns out 8 more top 25s, 3 of those being top 10s in his last 6 starts, and he sneaks into the 18th place spot to get a European Tour card. I think I would prefer if a few of these guys had kind of like a hidden gem amateur type of career. That would probably be a little bit more of my liking for somebody like Rocco to just jump, but to take basically 0 worldwide status into European Tour card in 8 months is quite remarkable at the age of 22. So I'm willing to bet that he's a player.
Well, I
like it.
You talk about that kind of hidden thing. That's why I kind of went to Bergstrom as well. Like he was freshman of the year in the ACC, and I think he gold for the year in the AAC or whatever. And that'll mean way more to you than it does me. But like to win those kind of awards at that age is impressive. And I think to your point, kind of not knowing too much about this, not seeing him. Like this is the thing with with Rocco is that like on paper it looks great, right? And the resilience of missing the cut in your kind of home invite and then the very next start going and winning is massive. Then going to kind of stringing events together is huge. But we just don't really know what type of player he is. And I think to kind of both of your points, like when we say it's like the toughest tour to bet on, it really is because on the face of it, you kind of load up any kind of form guide and you see these challenge tour players and they're kind of like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 2nd, 1st. And it's like, oh, that's really obvious. But it's not because you those guys are going to be kind of 12, 14, 16, 18, whatever it might be, 20 to 1. And you're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to nail a few of those a year, and Baroff, you'll be able to attest to that. Like you'll get those guys, but these Rocco ones, you just can't find. Like if you think about like a Camillo Villegas this year at 350 to 1, it's like, okay, well, like the RSM this week, it's like, okay, we know he's good at kind of short coastal events. We know he won one similar, recent years, and we know he's a veteran that can kind of do well on short courses. You just don't know that about these kind of challenge tour players, right? You just don't have that knowledge because you don't even get enough info about the courses. Like, yes, if you want to go and do flyovers and find the local kind of whatever might be, kind of doing a YouTube video on it, yes, you can really deep dive, but there's nothing at all obvious in it. It depends how many hours you've got in a week to kind of try and trawl through it, and that's where kind of Baroff and Brad and others will kind of find their kind of edge, is that you can do it just about, but it is really tough. And that's the difficulty we've got here, is like you just don't have that TV time for like, okay, well, at least we know he's a big hitter, or we know he's a kind of great around the green and creative. So it is one of those that you see these kind of spot starts and it's encouraging, but we don't have that with a lot of these guys. So it's blind, but also kind of semi-educated with the age.
Oh, for sure. Baroff, can you rank the 3 Italian graduates for us?
Well, I mean, Paratore is the one who can win, so I guess I guess he would be 1. I would say probably Celli 2 and Mazzoli 3.
We bet Celli a couple times. I know you did, Tom.
I bet them all, yeah. But
yeah,
Paratore, as you know, best friends with Guido. I think that gives him a boost. So
it's nice to see him back. I like Renato.
Yeah.
Also, I think the Paratore, like you look at his kind of, he's a classic Wikipedia golfer, right? Of like when you look at the Nordea Masters wins, he beats Matt Fitzpatrick and Chris Wood. Obviously, Fitzpatrick we know all about, but like Wood was like a Ryder Cup player around that kind of time. He beats Rasmus Højgaard at the British Masters, and then he loses to Højgaard in the Mauritius Open. And then you look at his Challenge Tour wins, and it's JC Ritchie, Sebastian Garcia Rodriguez, David Law, Sten Leica, all the other graduates. So he is like that. If you're just talking about like dog in them type, that's him. He's just got so many horrible parts to his game that you're like, oh my god, like he can either shoot 80 or 60. Like it's
but he's a driver putter guy, and we like driver putter guys. So.
Oh man. Okay. So now the tough part. I mean, we say it's a bad class, or that I don't like to take any shots at these guys. Class that we're not as high on, right? Like it's just we have more question marks with a lot of these guys. How many? I think they've changed they've already flipped it over from being able to tell where it was. How many guys from the graduates last year? So Rasmus Nergård Peterson was basically the only, or did Penge go right off of it, or Penge had a year in between? Penge was on.
I think Penge had a year in between.
Yeah.
Yes. Was anybody besides RNP that big of a standout this past year? I know Sam always tweets it, right? Sam Horak.
Like Iora was, right? Like,
well, I think John Perry was on there, right? So Perry, Lindell, and Iora, and then
Raitan came up as well.
And I guess Lagergren, but he's been around for so long. I don't really count him as someone who grad. But yeah, last year's class was much better. Martin Coover was in there. I think your guy Robin Williams was in there. Like that was a fun class.
I'm just trying to pull up Sam's.
But they didn't win. Perry didn't get across the line as much as we bet him. Obviously, Lindell didn't get across the line as much as we tried.
Well, that's the thing. I think like it was a really like solid graduate class in the sense of like Perry's Nergård Peterson's got a card. Coover and Iora went close. Obviously, Coover won. And then you've had Lindell, right? And I think Scott Olsen.
Yeah, I think the only winners, Raitan, Lagergren, and Coover, I think, were the only 3 winners.
So this one, okay. So hotel planner, 4 wins, and this is Irish_on_tour. Sam had tweeted about Q School. Irish responded, Irish on tour. 4 wins, 9 of 22 made it to the playoffs. 11 of 22 lost their cards. 7 of 22 were back in Q School. So better than what I thought on the year. I mean, that's
it was a solid class.
Versus Q School was really rough last year.
Q School was brutal. I think
brutal,
Bruce, like you can't get out of that. Like Jacob Scott Olsen did absolute wonders to actually make it to.
Yeah,
he made it all the way, right? Like didn't he play the final event? So but he's like the only one that even kept his card, I think.
Right? Yeah,
Sam had tweeted 1 win, which was Riggs Johnson. 3 of 21 made the playoffs. Riggs, Schmidt, and then Olesen. 15 of 21 lost their cards. 8 of 21 are back at Q School finals.
Yeah, interesting.
Versus like the Q School heyday, man. I mean, I always go back to the Guido class, but him and Kitayama came out of the same class and were arguably the 1-2 in my heart that whole season with how well they played. You know,
it's like obviously.
Why is this though? Why is it not?
Well, because they just don't. They just like Ben and Sam talked about. Like they just don't even get the starts now. The category is just way worse at getting out of like, and I guess that comes from the international cards, and it comes from like giving less cards in general. And I think like PJ talked with it, like it's gone from 125 to 100, but they just can't play. They just and like Jacob Scott Olsen, who I know we bet him a few times this season, and he had some really top level results. I don't remember him being like exceptional though. So for him to get out of the class, I feel like it's doable. Like it's definitely.
He just had a lot of he was just variant, you know, like top 10s or missed cuts, and I think that's kind of the way to do it on the DP World Tour.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. Just sort of looking at this, like I don't think any of these Q School guys will win, except maybe Davis Bryan, who we'll talk about. I wouldn't be shocked if none of the hotel planner players win this year either. Like it's just not that strong of a class, so we'll have to see.
But at the same time, like it's sad because I know this like discussion of how the European Tour is getting hollowed and what do we think about them graduating, and it's not a discussion for now, but it's pretty ransacked after losing like 10 really. I think this class going to the PGA Tour is among the best that they've had going there. I love the guys going.
Yeah, it's a great class.
It's the standout class. Like when I look back at like the three, like you had Fox and McIntyre, I think in 1 year, but the second class last year was bad.
Yeah.
Or was it?
We're going to get these chip shot events with none of these guys, you know, as they kick off the PGA Tour event schedule. Like that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get early events where you know a guy like Dan Brown is a 30-1 favorite almost in these fields. So it's going to be interesting.
It's one of those, isn't it? Like I think Ben Coley's been very vocal about this. I know we said we won't get into discussion, but I think it's important. Like he's very vocal of like we can't like there has to be a second best tour, and I agree with him. Like there should be a reward for being amongst the top 10 players, and we can't just focus on the fact that it does ruin that tour because it brings so many more players over. Like, you know, Nakajima we probably wouldn't have seen if it wasn't a direct route to the tour, right? Like there is all these different elements to it, but it does just get harder and harder, like every year to be a standout player. Now, if Jordan Smith didn't go this year, the guy would be like 14-1 every week, which is just a shambles, quite frankly. But yeah, it's the best class I think we've graduated this year, and then we're suffering because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about like these, the Ras Al Khaimah through like the Magical Kenya when none of them are co-sanctioned. You know, all of the guys are now starting in California. You know, you're not going to have any of them held back. What type of odds are we going to get? And is a Steinlecker or a Gia Monster, like, is he a fringe top 10 player in that field? You know?
Yeah, and I think that's what we did last year. Like I think you mentioned Zihao Jin. He was one of the guys that we bet in those first couple events when he was coming over, because those fields were so weak. So probably some opportunity there, and for sure some opportunity for the Australian events coming up.
Yeah, I'm just looking through old fields just to see how some of these guys got in, and we were dipping into category 17, which that is the one where that's order of merit from the other tours. So that's something we'll kind of talk through a little bit, but that's where some interesting names definitely do pop up. But let's go to Q School, because I still want to like dig through and see. And we were talking pre-show again, like how hilarious, how much money the entire golf industry has lost on Xander Lombard for him to win by 13 strokes in Q School is just banana land. And good for him. I mean, we've seen this type of player in him, just never strung it together to get that type of victory, but dominance. So, I mean, I guess off the top, does this change how you look at Lombard? I mean, 6 rounds, sub 70, only player in the field. I guess there was another player who did in the field too, but who I'll talk about. But I mean, unbelievable numbers.
Was he hurt? Because he went away for a while, and like when he came back this summer, he was playing okay. Like people were betting him, like when he returned this year. But yeah, I think he was hurt because really for the last seems like year and a half or so, we just haven't seen him at all. Was always a great ball striker. I think that's why we bet him. When you used to be scraping those stats, Sky, which I'm sure you still do. He was always one of the guys who popped in the iron play and the ball striking and the proximity to the hole. So, just a shame that he never got across the line. But sure, I think once you win, it always opens up more wins. So I'm very excited to see where he goes this year.
I think so. Just to clarify his, he was on track apparently for a career season 2024. And then he had a 3-a-side game of paddle, and he snapped his ACL and actually consulted a Bayern Munich physio to get over this. So pretty amazing story. When I kind of shook my head about whether it kind of changed anything for me, I think straight off the top of my head, I'm like, well, this guy was always this promising, and he only won once on the Sunshine Tour. Never really kind of even. I mean, he did threaten because he lost in the playoffs to the Rocco Forte Open in 2017, and maybe it's just because in kind of 2017, 2018 when he kind of had his problem, I just forgot about it. Right, like I guess it's hard because of injuries, and he's still 30. Right, this is a player that's 30, and maybe he goes and does a Van Zonder and all these sort of players we see in Thriston Lawrence that kind of come good later in their career from South Africa. It's really hard to tell because my gut instinct is like, he doesn't even win at the lower level. Really, that's my concern. But hopefully he comes good because he's just destroyed Q School.
He's a perfect example of someone who's going to be like 28-1 those first few events. Like there's no way we get a real number on him after that performance.
And to be clear, like second and third at the Ras Al Khaimah, second at the Bahrain Championship in his career. Like
these are perfect events for him. Absolutely.
Like he starts really well, and we'll see if he holds on.
Yeah.
I don't. Doesn't scream. Because you're not going to really have a betting opportunity. I guess that is the downside of it.
I think with him, it's like it's not exciting. It's like, okay, he might win at kind of 25-1 at some point. Whereas like JC Ritchie's 1 year older and he won 11 times on the Sunshine Tour, and 7 of them are co-sanctioned on the Challenge Tour. Like that's
exactly
like they're a different animal, but neither of them have shown it at the top level yet. Like that's the crux of it.
Yep. I think heartwarming story of Q School for literally anybody who follows golf had to be Eddie Pepperell, right? Get Eddie back on the DP World Tour, finished with 4 straight birdies, emotional in his post-round presser. I think there's not a person out here that's not rooting for Eddie, and cool to have him back. And it seems like so many of the I think the biggest tell is that how many players were tweeting about him getting back, like he can tweet all he wants and it's fun to follow along with Eddie. But if you have friends rooting for you on tour, I think that's pretty cool and shows how good of a person you are. So excited for Eddie. Baroff, if you're picking a selection, who's your favorite out of Q School?
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly mention Adri, just because everybody knows him. We've been on him since, I guess, 2021, 22. Was a really good driver and a pretty good putter. and then he forgot how to hit the driver. So that's where he went for a while, but still a big fan of him, and I think he will make some noise this year. But I think the one guy to watch out for is just another Thai player, Kalkanjama. And I actually bet Saddam Kalkanjana this week. He is playing the PIF Saudi International. Every time I've seen him play, it just seems like he does not make many bogeys. I'm a big fan of that. Make birdies and don't make bogeys. He shot 6 rounds under par at Q School, was one of the best players on the Asian Tour all year. He won, I guess he only won once in Korea back in May, but people probably don't remember back at the 2022 Open that Cameron Smith won, he finished tied for 11th. I'm sure nobody really knows that, but he has done it in real fields and in real events. So that's someone to watch out for, I think, long-term, and I hope he wins this week.
Yeah, I think I bet him at one of the recent DP World Tour events he got to play in. Still 27 years old.
Yeah, probably one of the ones out in Korea,
Yeah. I love that selection. I think that's perfect. I'll go into Brad's pick here. Brad, and this is where like Brad's experience in betting and having odds on amateur events and being able to. His selection is Daniel Rodriguez, who outside of Xander Lombard was the only other golfer to shoot 6 rounds sub 70. Former number 1 Portuguese amateur. Kind of a surprise, he said, at Q School. But if he can settle in pretty quickly, turned pro this year, only 8 starts on the Challenge Tour. T21 Portugal, T13 the Italian Challenge. So showing that obviously can fight a little bit, but won a ton on the Portugal Golf Tour. So his home circuit playing around there. Again, this is the deep type of deep diving into it. Got up to 65 in the Wagger. He's an Aggie out of Texas A&M. So 23 years old. So he seems like, again, you have a little bit of an amateur profile. You find some local pop on a smaller tour, and you break through in a spot like this. Like, I absolutely love that selection.
Let's write him down for the Open to Portugal in May.
And that's where Brad, like I remember on these shows, like he'd be able to line up events for guys in advance who we wouldn't have stats on. Like that's type of stuff that I love about Brad's work. So, okay, Tom, I'll pass it over to you next.
Yeah, so I'm going to chicken out a little bit and take someone that we know a little bit more about, and it's Andreas Halvorsen, who stepped up multiple times on the DP World Tour last season, 5th in Mauritius, 6th in the Indian Open. I think many people remember he was kind of in contention there, and 16th at the Italian Open were kind of the highlights, right? And it was, a reasonably up and down season, not a great approach player by all accounts. That's kind of the weakness, but he was second in Kolkata when he dropped down to the Challenge Tour earlier in the season, and when you look in kind of 2024, very limited starts on the Challenge Tour. He worked his way up after a fantastic 2023 on the Nordic Golf League. 2024, he wins the Danish Golf Challenge, and after that, 7th in France, 10th in Northern Ireland, 8th at the Grand Tour final. And when you look, like this is a guy that kind of played a lot of Latino America events early on in his career. He turned pro in 2015. He played in the US Open in 2019 for kind of what that kind of counts. And he's played a lot of stuff like Eisenhower Trophy. He played with kind of Raitan and Hovland. They beat Cameron Young in that kind of World Cup in 2014. So again, just leading into that kind of playing with these high talent players, it might be a classic case of I've been left behind and I'm not quite as good as a Raitan. It's obviously nowhere near kind of Victor Hovland, but yeah, I just think some of these players just take a little bit longer to kind of mature, and the fact that he's kind of won at the lower level, he's lost in the playoff to Josh Berry in that Kolkata Challenge. He's had 2 chances to win in 2 years. When he did win, he beat John Parry and Lindell, that 2 people that played really well on the DP World Tour this season. A couple of years ago, he beat Christopher Blomstrand, who people would bet for a couple of seasons as well. So just that he showed that upside last season, I just think he might settle in quicker than others, and he's shown that he can take advantage of spot starts, which I think is really important coming out of this club.
Yep. I like it. All right, I will go into mine. I guess a mini preview of 2 golfers, but have a connection. I think we all kind of thought incredibly highly of Fred Biondi coming out of the University of Florida. Just seemed like he almost was a little bit of a, I always say can't miss with some of these guys, but man, they look so good when they're in school. Like it is crazy how good they look. And you just think there's no way they're not going to make it. I mean, like I struggle with the way, like, how can Luke Clanton not be to the level that we thought he was just a year ago? And it seems like a player like that happens quite frequently. And Fred Biondi was that guy who, came out in 2023, right? I think 23, he was the NCAA individual champion right on the Korn Ferry Tour, 2 top 25s on the PGA Tour in the fall swing, and literally nothing since. I guess a T7 on the Korn Ferry Tour to kick off the year, and then a bajillion missed cuts in a row. Last year, 8 starts on the entire year until fighting his way through Q school. And maybe it's because of the name change now of which he's going with. If I can pull it up in its entirety, I just like Federico as the Federico as the entire name, but it's what? Federico Biondi Figueiredo. So if you ever include maybe distant cousins with Pedro Figueiredo, like that's definitely a boost in my eyes. But a long-winded to say, I'm happy that Fred Biondi is back, but I actually want to talk about his college teammate who finished better than him at Q school, which is Quentin DeBove. So Quentin DeBove was at the University of Florida 2020 to 2023 NCAA champion. Biondi won the individuals, but they also won the team that year too. DeBove did not have anywhere near the amateur career of what Biondi did. DeBove was 120th at best in the amateur rankings there. Finished amateur. He came back one more year, played 2024, and then turned pro this year and went out to the Alps Tour. Unlike, talking about the Rocco, basically DeBove was on the Alps Tour the entire season. He had 2 starts out of it, which were 2 missed cuts on the Challenge Tour. So Alps Tour, he racked up 5 top 5s with a win, like a pretty strong season, I would say, but closed the door really well. If you look at his last 7 events, he hasn't finished outside of the top 20. And then Q school, I would argue he probably was the most consistent player across Q school. So top 5 in final stage or top 10. He then won second stage, and then he had a really strong first stage as well. So I would say pretty much since August, we have seen him firing on all cylinders. And for me, in that manner, it might be a little bit more short term of not knowing who this guy is and his professional, I guess his career up to this point. Like all you can pick out is spotty Alps Tour success. But if you're playing and getting points on the University of Florida National Championship team, I'm intrigued, and then you've at least parlayed your 1 year of professional into now a European tour like card. I think that's something at least that caught my eye through this. So he's somebody where I was really bummed about was on the American side of things of Q school graduates. There was 2 that I was really rooting for because they were way easier to come across the profiles of. The one American who got through was Hunter Logan, who, if you look up Hunter Logan, there really is middling type of numbers. He played 5 times this year. I think all through Monday qualifiers, did not make a single cut 4 times, missed all of his cuts there. I think he was playing a little bit on the G Pro Tour. He played a little bit, he played the Florida State Open. There was just not really in those stats at all on him. Went to Mississippi State, but just didn't see it really anything. The 2 that I really wanted to see were the 1 and 2 on the G Pro standings, which is potentially the best mini tour that still exists here in the States, at least top 3, which was a guy that I was obsessed with at the Myrtle Beach Classic, which was Austin Duncan. I think we bet him at 1,500 to 1 there, made the cut.
Sounds right.
He dominant fashion on the G Pro Tour, won 3 events in a row. And then Alex Goff was number 2 on that. So if I'm thinking I think there's maybe a sliver of a chance one of those guys could get a start on the 2-week event. Are they going to go down that low, do you think, or they just have no chance?
It seems unlikely, but I guess you never know this time of year where people are playing. So wouldn't be surprised to see them just sort of pop up from time to time. And again, they can play Monday Qs into sort of other tours as well.
I guess it's 48th for Duncan. Like, he is low.
Yeah, he's
Alex
low.
Goff was 34th. I guess Colin Adams, another American, finished ahead of them. I wasn't too familiar with him, but Duncan was there. Yeah. Goff won a stage early on, and he was inside the top 3 after 2 rounds of Q school and kind of fell off. So not a huge American class. And I think the one, I guess, if you just stretch it out, that you and I, Baroff, have really liked and you've been betting some, would be John Go. Like, John Go, that was just, I still don't know if it's Goff or Go. I just call him John Go. But
Alex Goff, John Goff, they're all the same.
Yeah. We've been big on him since the Walker Cup days. He was, I think, teammates with you and Walker, maybe, that we talked about, that graduated with the card too. But he was just on the outside looking in, and he had shown some life late in the year too.
Yeah, for sure.
Just coming back, Sky, to Fred Bionde a little bit, like one of those classic, he's going to back himself and really didn't take advantage of it. Like he gave up invitations to the 2023 US Open and 2024 Masters to play on the Corn Ferry. Obviously, he thought he was on to bigger things and just absolutely shit the bed. But the interesting thing is that in those limited starts, like, he was awful. So he played the Corn Ferry Tour. His best finish was like 31st. But then got into like Bermuda, finished 13th, played the RSM Classic, finished 23rd. Again, didn't really do an awful lot in the Challenge Tour start, the Corn Ferry Tour start of the season, but finished 7th in Bahamas. But then he goes to the PJ Tour, 32nd on Puerto Rico, 26th for the Valspar. Seems like one of those, a bit like, I think, like Damon Duchesne for a little bit. Like, he was awful when he played the DP World Tour, but then went and played PJ Tour, then went on to Corn Ferry Tour and tore it apart. Also, Biondi tried to play the Live Promotions events, and maybe it's just one of those, like, just doesn't know what's good for him type thing. Like, just seems to not get settled. So I think he's one of those that eventually he'll become good, and we'll go, oh, it was just a case of not finding his feet quick enough. I thought it was really interesting. Like, just a bad career path so far. I think everyone kind of looks at kind of like actually with Sierra of like, oh, you're kind of, you should be going to college, and he backed himself and got away with it. But Bionde seems to be the one that's kind of suffered from trying to, work his way up. But I kind of admire it in a sense of like, look, I'm going to, there's so many college guys, right, that have just kind of stayed in, accepted their kind of major invites, and they've done better because of it. But I do like the fact he's backed himself. He's just very good. I am doing pretty well this year.
Yeah. I'm excited for him. You don't get that many chances to get kind of a restart of that type of player, and maybe you get some odds discovery too. And like, again, I don't say the name change, but like, you have to notice who he was too. I mean, he's not probably going by Fred Biondi. It looks like it's like Fred Figueredo. Like, people might not. I had a triple take to double check the name. So
well, his dad is Fernando Figueiredo, a well-known advertiser in Brazil and the USA with his company Bullet. So there you go. There's the snippet on Fred Figueiredo. Why he went Bionde before that, I don't know. Maybe he had a disagreement with his dad for a couple of years, but interesting.
All right. So since Baroff went first for all the other selections, let's kick it to you, Tom. So Tom, who's your pick of the litter for, I guess, the standard or not of a long shot selection for cards this year?
Yeah, so I'm just going to make life more difficult for you guys and take the consensus pick, which is Angel Ayora. Like, I don't see a world in which Angel Ayora doesn't get the PJ Tour card this season. Like, he showed everything but the ability to win this season. Like, he continued the form from the Challenge Tour very quickly. He showed us the kind of upside of his game. And actually, interestingly, probably when we were watching the kind of DP World Tour finals was the first time I felt like actually he could kind of win here. Like, he showed making some long putts in contention, and then he kind of bladed a couple of really bad chips, and you think, okay, this is what I've not seen for the first 3 rounds when he's not been on coverage, and so on and so forth. But I just don't think, Sky, with the level of player remaining on this tour, we kind of referenced that earlier in the show, I don't see how he's not one of the 10, just from an accumulation of just being so good throughout the season. Like if I think of I think about the 10 players that have just gone, like not all of them were kind of pure winners, right? Like, I mean, I know, you've got Parry that's kind of, graduated. You've got Negar Peterson's graduated. You've got Jordan Smith, definitely not like a pure winner. Obviously we've had Penge and Cantor and all those at the top. Even like Cantor, right? Like not the purest of winners, like a really good player, but I think Ayora will very quickly, emulate those kind of types of players. So, I don't see a world in which Ayora doesn't get one of the 10 cards. And I know that's kind of a homer pick, but if we're just talking about who's going to get one, he will get one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
Easy pick. No disagreements there. So I'm going to pivot, and I will go to his compatriot, Eugenio Chikara, who, as you said, Tom, certainly fell off at the end of the year. Well, he kind of fell off in the middle of the year, and then he kind of found some form later on. But really going back to last summer and fall, was playing great, played really well in Asia, in the international series events, really most of last year and last fall. He carried that over this year, a 5th in India, and then won the Hero Indian Open, backed it up with a 4th place finish in China, a couple other top 15 finishes this year. And then, I think the long golf season got to him. He forgot how to hit irons, and he missed a bunch of cuts. But I think we all believe in his talent long term. Was a number 1 ranked amateur at Oklahoma State for years. I think we'll see him push inside the top 100 in the world golf rankings this year pretty easily. And I think he's got a great chance to earn the card, considering he's going to be among the favorites in most of the events that he plays this year.
And do we think Baroff, like he's I think David Pooch, they've kind of alternated, right, between like...
Pooch is a little better, I would say.
Wait, Pooch is my selection.
Oh, here we go.
If you guys realize that Pooch, there was an article that came out last week. He's taking up Category 10 membership.
I saw that, yeah.
So we are going 3 Spaniards.
Beautiful.
So you took
Pooch. I think him and Chichara, I guess in Ayora, I think it's an amazing trio of young talent. I could not believe how far Chichara fell off after that win. He looked like a no-brainer PGA Tour player. April. If you asked me who's going to lead the standings, who's going to have a better year, Marco Penge or Chikara, like I thought it was Chikara at the time.
His card sewn up. Like I thought, like he was going to do it in like the starts.
And I was very interested in betting him during the playoffs just because we were getting ridiculous odds at what the talent is, and he didn't really show. Like he was basically, I guess, Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson 1 and 2, like right there. That's kind of the young gun class that was playing week in and week out. And Tom, you'd often say like, man, it feels like RNP is overvalued, Chichara is undervalued, and here we are at the end of the year. I mean, all 3 of these guys, like, I think they're probably, Ayora and I think Pooch probably will get lower odds to start the year than Chikara, but Chikara might be the best of the 3.
Yeah. I mean, Pooch, I think, he has shown a little more of the high end, a little more consistency than Chikara, but you can definitely alternate them for sure.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, more on Pooch really is, I mean, he's been a player I've been incredibly interested when we've gotten chances to play him in major championships. We're getting live strokes gained data now, right? What do you argue would be the legitimacy of it? I don't know, but like you see how amazing of a driver he seems to be. Like his distance is going to be top,
and he can putt,
and he can putt,
can putt, which is huge. Yeah.
He's better suited to be a PGA Tour player than probably a European Tour player. You just got to get through and be a top 10 player. And then like a Chris Wrighton, he's basically like a Wrighton should be great at some certain spots on the PGA Tour this year. And he probably had to battle through some spots to get his card deeper into the year.
The difficulty is, I think we discussed this guy like on our last show, like we look at right-handers like this is how we viewed Jesper Svensson and Norgard Muller. That they should be perfect for the PGA Tour. They hit it far, they putt well, they get straight, and then they really struggle. And that's my one concern with right-handers. Like, is he just going to get overwhelmed? Now, I hope not. And I think we've already said that like Penge is clear and he's going to be really good, and we're quite confident in him. Interestingly, with the 3 Spaniards, like we're talking about, we've got no one left, and we've got these 3 unbelievably talented players under 25 and 25 and under.
Puig kind of reminds, and I think right hand's a perfect comp for him as well, as is Jesper Svensson. He just, he doesn't putt as well, but Puig seems like he reminds me a lot of Jake Knapp. I just feel like he's that type of player. So I hope he can sort of follow that same mold.
One way to put some mockers on him, but I think interestingly, like we talk about all those three talented players, it's probably a Euro Puig, maybe even 1, 2, 1, or at least in the top 5 right for cards this year. Chikara's the only one that's won out of the three of them. I know Puig has won in Asia, right? Like, it's amazing that Chikara's the only one, and to your point, if you don't bring him up, like you're probably, I'm not going to sit here and say like he's this like real long shot that no one would think about, but he would generally fall in the kind of longer shot category for a lot of other people because they've just forgotten that he's, for the second half of the season he's gone, whereas Euro has been there all year. Puig is a talented player that, hard luck story maybe at the first season of Live. So I think it's really interesting that the three of them are kind of this dynamic of three under 25s or 25 and under players, and only one of them's won. And he's the least likely of the three to get the card, maybe, which is the ridiculous thing. Yeah,
I think I'm excited about all of these guys. Brad's selection, Brad kept it pretty chalk. Martin Kuvra would be for him. Just, again, it's hard to think how young Kuvra is, and to get a win early off like he did. And he was somebody like early on that season, man. You could bet on whatever, like just if you were consistent with Kuvra betting, no matter the variance of what he did, it paid off alone from the each ways, and did get that big win. So I think Kuvra is somebody who I would expect to get a PGA Tour card this year.
Sure.
I was a little bummed he didn't capitalize on that early season strong play. So
that's the one thing, and I'm not a person to disagree with Brad. Obviously, we kind of do a podcast every week, right? So I don't disagree. My concern is exactly what you just said, is that he didn't capitalize on that fast start because he did slow down, and the difficulty with Kuvra is his skill set doesn't necessarily lend itself to success. Like, he's slightly shorter off the tee. He's going to have spots, and again, we talk about what talent is left over. But like the fact he didn't, like Parry did take advantage of it, and Kuvra didn't. That's the kind of two that I look at of okay, you hit that early season form, got that early season win. Can you go on and just muddle through the rest of the year? And I think Parry had a good result in a far bigger event than maybe in Scotland or the Open, right? Like, it just had that kind of top tier event that took him through. And Kuvra just, I think with Kuvra, I think the upside is huge, which is why Brad is right to pick him and why we think he's going to get a PGA Tour card. But I do think he has to win again to get it. I don't know if he can kind of do what Euro is going to do and Nigel Peterson, where they're going to kind of just finish top 10, throughout the season. So that's the one hesitancy I have with him, is I do think he needs to win again to get it.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Okay, long shots. Now, this is like the fun times of DP World Tour, of really digging in. So we'll keep the same order. Tom, you can go first.
Yeah, this is the one where like you mock me for it not really being a long shot, because last year I think I picked Sadier and that was after picking Smith in the Homer thing. I'm going to go with Todd Clements for my longer shot. I was quite big on Todd Clements toward the end. It was between him and one other player, and if neither of you mention him, and then I'll come back to him. But for me with Clements, I felt like there was a bit of an evolution to his game towards the end of the season. He had a pretty slow start. He finished 9th at Joburg, but it was generally a pretty slow start to the season. And he just seemed to come alive. He finished 3rd in that Barracuda Championship, 7th in the Nexo Championship, where I think he was the 54 hole leader. And then towards the end of the season, he had middling finishes in kind of in Switzerland and Ireland. He was 26th and 28th. But towards the end, 10th in France, 15th in the Dunhill Links, 16th in the Open d'Espagne. But what was really encouraging was how he hit his irons through those 3 tournaments. And he is a player that, me and Baroff talked about this kind of off air. Like, the stats won't tell you it. He is a horrible putter. Like, he just has debilitating weeks with the putter. Whereas because he has enough kind of good weeks and he can't combine the two. He kind of stats wise, he doesn't appear as the absolute worst putter. But don't get me wrong, like when he plays really well, he just has a horrible putting week. So there is that obvious downside to him, but I do think there is some growth elements to Todd Clements as well, like where he hit those irons so well. He's coming up to 30, but again, only turned pro in 2018. I always labour on the point that 2020 kind of debilitated a lot of people's careers, and just seems to be that player that has the tools outside of the putter to really come forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of breaks through, wins again, and then gets his card.
Man, yeah. I mean, the ball striking, we saw at the Barracuda, like he can win an event on ball striking, just alone. I like it a lot. I like it more than my Joe Dean selection last year. I can tell you that. So,
the Joe Dean.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Joe Dean.
Is he retired? I don't even know if he's still playing golf. But
we bet Joe Dean like 3 times this year, so I don't know.
I mean, it was a great pick at the time. Like I was fully on board with it. But
I give me like a 2039 Open Championship T20 Joe Dean. I will not be surprised. Man.
There you go.
I know how to links golf it. Okay, Brad's. We'll give Brad's a selection here. Brad has gone with Kazumi Kobori. I think it's an incredible selection. Would I classify it as pure long shot? Maybe not with how good we've seen out of Kobori, but like this is like quintessential what I'm looking for in a type of player like this, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Elvis Smiley did what we're going to probably ask Kobori to do this year, right? To be the really good Australian player tour and then make the leap to being a really good DP World Tour player. And it feels like it's been a little bit of time for a player out of the order of merit. I guess outside of I say this, but then Nakajima was great this past year. But I think Nakajima might have been a year after. I don't know. I was trying to go through the order of merits, and we can talk about it in a second. But Kazumi Kobori this year in 2025, 3 top 10s, ended up being 44th in the rankings, right in the mix down the British Masters. I think got beat out on that last hole by Norin there. BMW International was there with Daniel Brown. Porsche Singapore had a top 10 there. He's only 24 years old. Again, he was a 3-time amateur winner. Australian men's amateur, was awesome there early on in his career. I mean, he won back-to-back, 3 out of 4 starts within his first 2 months of being a pro. So I love the selection of Kobori.
Yeah, okay. I agree. It feels good because we were on these guys all year. So I feel like, that paid off.
I mean, this is just
do you want to go? You want me to go?
Go ahead. Rip the Band-Aid of the best selection on the board, of which I had to tell you he had a DP World Tour card 2 hours ago.
Right? I saw the article like 2 months ago and kind of forgot about it. But yes, how about old friend, or I should say young friend, Cameron Adam? I will say when we bet him at, what was it, 1,000 to 1 or 1,500 to 1 at the British Masters, I did not know at the time he was left-handed, so that sort of threw me for a loop. I believe he led the field in strokes gained approach, if not more than that week. Lapped the field. And again, the T19 a bit misleading because he was tied for 5th heading into the final round. But big fan of him. He won the links event at St. Andrews this summer. He finished 5th at the Western Amateur, and that is a stacked field, and we love that. I love anybody who plays that sort of college golf. Like, those are the guys who we look for and who we want to see. And he's won a couple of amateur events. So again, he has the pedigree, obviously has the iron play. I'm sure the putter will become an issue, but how is that different than anybody else who we like to bet? So I think you said we'll see him in the coming weeks in Australia. Is that right?
I mean, he's already on my card. I don't need to see the odds. He's on my card for next week.
He'll probably still be 200 to 1 or more. So I can imagine we'll get fun numbers there. But yeah, Cameron Adam, we will be heavy on those numbers this year.
He could, if he was in the RSM Classic this week, I think he could win the RSM Classic. I think the
that
world
iron play, why not? Yeah.
And this was a late night Open Championship fine where he was. I think he led the field in strokes gained approach while either missing the cut or just making it through. Like that type of play at least opens my eyes, and you get a shot like he did as an amateur in that British Masters. I cannot wait for him. So if we look at the category he's going to be playing out of, category 17. So this is, I challenge you on the internet to try to go through all of these tours to be able to figure out who the current standing player is on each of them, because it's hard. It's hard, and I like to get into rabbit holes, and I even had some challenges of it. So Category 17 last year was Min-Kyu Kim, Kazumi Kaburi,
Mhm.
Ryan Van Velzen, Veer Alawat, Zihao Jin, and Wen Yi Ding. So Cameron Adams should be on the Wen Yi Ding route.
That's basically our card from every week. So
I know and it's kind of a problem. I'm not all the way in on who these guys are, but some of them, like the Australia tour, was wrapped up like in March. These guys, those guys get screwed the most because they have to wait an extended period of time to play. Because the one on the Japan Golf Tour is somebody that I'm pretty interested on right now. The leading player on the Japan Golf Tour Order of Merit is Kota Kaneko. So I wrote up Kota for the which one did he play in? For the Bay Current. I think he finished 33rd there. He just picked up another win last week. Kota, I think he was, a final round 67, like the first ever time playing in that. He was a 2-time winner this past year. Look to have, now you can get some standard stats off of the Japan Golf Tour. Look to be, a lot of the players on just from the Japan Golf Tour based off the courses they play are more precision, ball striking versus overpowering. But 2 wins, 6 other top 3 finishes on the year. And again, he's 23 years old. So I think if he is the one graduating, he's one. 2 is Shogenji, who he played, I believe, in that event too. Who didn't? I don't think he did all that much. Let me double check.
No, it doesn't look familiar.
He T65 there has had 2 wins this year, but they're both ahead of Higa, Samikawa, Kodaira. So like I've got some interest on both of those 2 players, but specifically Kaneko, and he's winning by a lot. He's got like a $30,000 lead in the prize money. So if he's the one to graduate now, Sunshine Tour Order of Merit, I don't know if we're getting because if we looked at that was the other guy that came right off of like being a brand new pro. Remember the name Luis Carrera Baroff at all? Remember he won like 2 events.
He won a lot.
OWGR events.
Yep.
He's second right now, I believe, to Herman Lobser, who I think he's just been kind of a guy down there.
Old school name, yeah.
But among these, the other player that's getting in off of Category 17 in Australia is Jonathan Broomhead. He's 5th on the Sunshine Tour.
Yep.
I don't understand the exact methodology of how he ends up being there over somebody. But if I'm looking at Sunshine Tour and another player that, again, we're just naming names, I guess, at this point. But Austin Batista has been excellent again. Austin Batista is back. He has a goal. I follow him on Instagram. A goal of being a dual Order of Merit leader. He is 5th in the Sunshine Tour Order of Merit rankings, or 4th. And there's a mini tour under the PGA Tour of Australasia, which he is number 1 in right now. So he could be getting starts through categories like this. If he plays well, still he will get in the Australia events. He's very much high on those rankings. Ryan Peake's another golfer who could do that. He is the motorcyclist who he was in that motorcycle gang, remember, who got into the Open Championship. He's up there. He's going to get some starts. But if I'm making one selection here, you hit on it early on.
What? You're making one selection out of all that? Wow.
Davis Bryant. Davis Bryant as my selection. The best mini tour player probably to come out of the States in the last few years.
Yeah,
fought his way through Q School, got into contention multiple times on the DP World Tour. Basically, is in that limbo of status where he doesn't get enough on the DP World Tour, didn't play enough Hotel Planner Tour.
Yep.
Then he's got to go out to Q School and prove it. What does he do? Goes out to Q School and proves it, gets it done. He's just gonna. If you want to get out of these categories, you gotta win. You just gotta win, and I think he's a winner. So, Davis Bryant, if you're making me pick one.
There we go.
We're not making you do anything, by the way, Scarlett. You do you, bud. Like, I enjoy that bit. Like, I am just taking all that information in. Baroff is way closer to it than I am, so I'm just kind of listening. And this is the biggest learning week of my of my year is listening to you guys talk about these guys. By the way, does Henrik Stenson qualify as a long shot?
I was waiting for somebody to bring up Stenson.
I need to see that he can make a cut because he was like struggling to break par. It's the first round. So
he's just paid £1 million worth of fines to come back to the DP World Tour, and apparently he's been told he's not going to get in the big events, which is really funny. He's playing out the Legends category apparently.
Yeah.
So, but apparently he's not going to be able to play the big events
because they're not allowing him in, or his status isn't going to get him in.
I don't know which way. I haven't read the article. It's a paywall article on the Telegraph, but I think
he's basically Padraig Harrington's status level, right?
Yeah. I think they're blocking him a bit. What's really funny is everyone said like it's what was more impactful about his move to live wasn't his move to live, but actually the fact that the Luke Donald become captain.
Sure. Yeah, it was huge.
Really interesting. It's a tough one, isn't it? Like I really love Stenson. I fondly remember the Open Championship where he went toe-to-toe with Phil Mickelson. It was the best round of golf I've ever watched live.
Yeah.
He's 49 years old, and it doesn't really matter. Like he's not gonna, as you said, Baroff, like he was absolutely terrible last season. So do we expect him to actually be any good? Probably not. But it's interesting, Pooj is just getting back in his way.
Yeah.
We are going to see a bit more of this now. We are going to see people. And interestingly, if Donald turns down the captaincy for a third time, I'm assuming he's not the way people are talking about it. Stenson's like 50-1 to be the captain again.
I would, if I were Luke Donald, I would turn it down. Like, what do you have left to accomplish? Go out on top. You won a Road Ryder Cup. Like, I don't know.
There is people that have done it 3 times in a row as well. It's not like it's unprecedented, right? Like I thought it would be unprecedented. It's happened a couple of times.
They're just going to expect him to win now. Like he can only let them down at this point. So,
but the way Fleetwood was talking about it, like basically it's his if he wants it. Like we're all going to basically ask for him to do it. I think the options after that are terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, either way, it's going to be that same cohort, right? It'll be one of the Molinaris who just take over. I
think,
like, why not go back to Harrington if it's if it's in Ireland, just like let him do it again.
I think that's the case because like Eduardo Molinari is not going to be captain; he's going to be vice captain because that's his jam.
Brother won a major; he gets to go first. Yeah,
I can't imagine a rah Francesco Molinari, which I guess Luke Donald wasn't, and it's
worked. What do you mean? Francesco almost got in a fist fight with Ted Scott.
That was a good one. Yes.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't know how you get in a fist fight with Ted Scott. Probably the calmest person in the entire world. I just not inspired. I guess we've been spoiled by Luke Donald, but
yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with the live guys. Like special shout out to Laurie Cantor who got his PGA card. Like after going through all that, he sort of paved the way. I hope Chikara does the same thing this year, but
hopefully Pooj, right? All these,
Pooj, yep. Hopefully we see more of that because I think we need these guys, all playing together. So
who else is who can also bridge the gap? Like Stenson's obviously the one, I guess.
Byrne tried to, but he stinks.
You guys don't think Victor Perez is gonna be the newest clique, and there you go. It's a strategic alliance.
Oh my gosh, it's so weird. He lost his card, right? Like he was gonna lose his card.
It's he's like 101. He could play well this week and have his PGA Tour card. Like
doesn't need it. It's just gonna make $1 million.
I guess
a couple $1 million.
Unless there's gonna be a long shot Frenchman. Hopefully it's not for Brad's sake, Guillaume Monster. But
yeah. No, it is Perez, right? It's been
that was a report today. Yeah.
I don't know. Like there does need to be a bridging. I don't think Stenson's one's going to do it, but I think it might be Cantor. Like Cantor might be the feel-good story. Like he goes and wins an event on the PGA Tour. And
it really just depends what happens with Rahm and Hatton. So we'll see.
I think Stenson is, that would be crazy. I think Stenson's playing, from what I read, to get into the Champions Tour stuff or get into the major senior majors.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Desperately throwing his hat in the ring for Ryder Cup candidacy again. I don't see why else he would get the DP World Tour card again.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to be. Sure, yeah.
£1 million to pay back just to not play in a big events. Like, surely he's going for the Ryder Cup captain. I don't know.
I'll give it over under March 13th before Baroff bets Stenson in Europe.
Oh, definitely under. I mean, if he's playing, we're gonna
Um,
look at him.
Omega,
fields are so
Omega
bad.
European Masters at 45-1 is going to be on your card.
Yeah, I mean, he won a live event like last year, right? Like he's not that far removed from being, competent. It's just
What odds does he have to be in his first event Baroff for you to bet him?
he would have to be like probably 150, I would say.
There's a good chance.
Wait, you're going to bet him then because he's going to be that price.
Probably, yeah. That's what I mean. In these
Get him in
fields,
Mauritius in the wins. We need that accuracy off the tee.
there you go. Links correlation. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm just going through anything else. If I'm PGA Tour of India was the only thing I didn't be able. Yurav Sandhu looks to be the guy coming off that tour.
Yeah, we just bet all the Sanhus last week. So when they were over there, so.
But Manu Gandis did win last week.
Of course he did.
But it doesn't look like it's going to get him into the rankings. But again, everyone has their own cutoffs of when they qualify their order of merit guys. So some of them won't get into events till later on. And I guess I'm going to be curious how many starts Cameron Adam gets. I feel like Wenyi Ding got into everything early. So
yeah, Ding played a lot for sure. And then he played some of the Hotel Planner Tour events too. So.
Ding played 29 times this past year.
Did he qualify like a couple of
none of them were on he played on a couple of the Asian Tour recently, 3rd and 6th. He played at ISU. None of them he had to drop down. So this actually, I think Cameron Adams is a great selection. If he's going to get 25 starts, that's money.
I'm sure he'll play every single week he can. So
yeah.
By the way, I feel like the biggest thing that I could ever say, you said you didn't even realize he was left-handed until the Open Championship. I thought he was Australian.
Oh, perfect.
That just sounds like an Australian name.
Well, there's a lot of Camerons, yeah, of course.
Yeah, it just sounds very Australian. Adam sounds like it's like a mix of like Cam Smith and Adam Scott. I think it's probably it.
Yeah.
I thought he was Australian. So he's going to really prove us wrong. Well, not you guys because you're really high on him, but he's going to prove a lot of people wrong when he's just like the best player next season.
Hopefully, it'll be great.
So we'll have to close the year. I guess kick off the season, but close the calendar year. It will go BMW Australian PGA Championship, Crown Australian Open, same week as Nedbank for Gary Player, Alfred Dunhill Championship, Mauritius Open. Like that's a dream.
Yeah.
5 events right there.
We always get some of the Americans who play down in South Africa too.
Yeah. Yeah,
we had Homa. We won't get JT anymore. He's hurt, but I think some guys.
Zal Torres is playing something. He might be. He's played. That before.
I think Zal Torres is playing Nedbank for sure. Definitely gonna bet that guy.
Yeah, man. 18 months on the sidelines, and then we'll rip him. Yep. I love that.
The BMW just. I mean, we've had it a couple of years now, but like just an incredible event. It's going to be like Penge is playing. Then you've got all the live guys playing. You've got the kind of Imru Lees, the Adam Scotts, Cam Smiths. So it's going to be a really good event. It's just going to be hard to find value in it because all the obvious people are going to kind of be
Victor Perez is still in the field, which is interesting.
I mean,
Australian, yeah,
should be. Anyway. We have
we can play now, yeah.
Answers in it, So
it should be fun.
All right. I think we put
it.
a wrap on it. I don't know how long this went. A little over hour 15, hour 20. So appreciative of everyone. Thank you to Brad to getting us in. You can find Brad on Twitter. Let me make sure I get his. I think it's just at Bradley_Todd. Let me just double check. Yep. At Bradley_Todd. You can support him on Patreon as well, giving out selections. You can find Tom at TomJacobs93. Baroff, I nailed it earlier. What is it again, Baroff?
Baroff 427. You got it. Yeah.
Yep. And then you can find me at Skyhook DFS. Again, anything and everything over these next couple of weeks are on the table. Please reach out to us as we get to know a bunch of the DP World Tour. We all post our cards, all available. So hopefully we can have some long shot victories together like we've had in these December runs before. It's some of our favorite time to play golf and to watch and bet on it. So super appreciative, Tom Baroff, for taking the time. Thank you, guys. Good luck, everybody. And we'll talk to you all in 2026.
That's great.
See ya.